Sales winning mindset is so important. The other day, one of my sales guys went to an appointment with a prospect. And when he got back, I was sitting there doing work and I said, "Hey man, how'd it go?" And he walked by and he was like, "Good." And he kept walking. And I thought, well, that doesn't sound good, right? And my job as a leader is to ensure that my team is performing at their best every single day. And if something is holding them back from performing at their best, I need to figure out what that is, right? And so I called him back over and I said, "Hey man, come here, sit down, let's talk about this, because you walked by, you seemed discouraged. I asked you how it went, you said good, but obviously it didn't go well. So tell me about the appointment, what happened, tell me about it." And he started explaining, "Oh, well, I sat down with them and I explained everything and I went through our slideshow and I explained our most common questions and what we're going to do here and there." And I said, "Okay, awesome. And it sounds like you did a great job explaining it." And he said, "Yeah, yeah." And so I asked him a couple of very important questions. I said, "Did you get a signed contract?" And he said, "Well, no, I didn't, because they wanted to think about this and they were confused on that." And he made excuses, right? And I thought, okay. And then I asked him another question. I said, "What do you think you could have done better?" And he said, "Well, I mean, I don't think I could have done anything better because I explained everything very thoroughly and I did a really good job on this and that." And I thought, okay, I have a problem here, is what I thought. Because one of my sales guys goes to an appointment, he doesn't get a signed contract, and he comes back and he thinks he did perfect. He could not have improved. And so I lightly explained that to him and I said, "Hey man, help me understand that." And he said, "Well, this and that." And he kept making excuses. And I said, "Look, man, you're very money motivated, which is good because in sales you have to be, right? Now, there are people out here in our very market doing exactly what you do, bringing home $500,000 a year, right? And I know you want to get to that, right?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm not about that comparing stuff. I don't like comparing." And he started getting all frustrated, right? So in this moment, he's obviously not receiving it well, the feedback and the criticism, right? But it's important to be able to receive that in sales, right? And one of our core values is to be coachable, right? So right now he's violating one of our core values. I said, "Hey man, you know what? Go ahead and go get some rest." By this time it was already dark, it was late, right? And so I said, "Hey man, go home, get some rest. We're going to talk about this tomorrow. Have a good night, man." And I shook his hand and he left, right? And so I sat down with him the next day and I counseled him through that, right? And he received it well after, the good night's rest that he got. The next day he received it well and he understood. And so my message here is that a couple messages. Number one, to leaders. Leaders, you have to be able to pick up on these subtle cues from your team. And if something is holding them back, you have to get ahead of that. And you have to understand how to address that. And when to address it is important, right? Because in this case, I tried to address it in that moment. He was obviously probably still discouraged from the appointment and not, it was a long day, right? And so he's probably tired. He wants to go home. I get it, right? So I counseled him the next day. And my other message is to salespeople and people that want to perform and make a lot of money in sales. You have to have a winning mindset every single day. And you can never feel like you did enough or like you did good enough, right? That's a problem, right? Unless you tell me you're making $3 million a year in sales, then I'll tell you, okay, man, you're probably doing good, right? But if you're not, and you're not at your quota, and you're not at your goal, and you're not making the money you want to make, which this specific rep is not, he's not hitting their quota, he's not making the money he wants to make, so he's obviously not doing good enough. And so that's my message. Okay, it's so important to continue to improve every single day. Personally, when I sit down with a prospect and I leave that appointment, even if I closed the deal and I got a signed contract, which at the end of the day, that's the ultimate goal, right? Get a signed contract and money from the client, the customer. Even if I accomplish that, I'm still asking myself, what could I have done better? Why? Because I know I'm not perfect, right? None of us are perfect, right? And so that's my message to all of you. Use that, have a winning mindset, continue to improve, never stop growing.